Hello there and welcome. This is a patent behavior bite, a tip about behavior with resources for your continued exploration. Before we get started, let's review the mission and commitment of the Pennsylvania Training and Technical Assistance Network. The mission of PATN is to support the efforts and initiatives of the Bureau of Special Education and to build the capacity of local educational agencies to serve students who receive special education services. Our goal for each child is to ensure individualized education program teams begin with the general education setting with the use of supplementary aids and services before considering a more restrictive environment. For this behavior bite, we're going to share a Tier 3 intervention for high school students known as Renew. Renew comes out of the University of New Hampshire. Ongoing research is conducted by founder Dr. Joanne Malloy. Renew stands for Resilience, Empowerment, Natural Supports, Education, and Work. Renew is a proven intervention for high school students at risk of dropping out of high school. Before we share a bite about Renew, let's take a peek at some of the Pennsylvania data. Given 55 youth who were engaged with Renew at some point between 2014 and 2019, data outcomes show a 75% decrease in total days spent in in-school suspension, 68% decrease in total days spent in out-of-school suspension, and a 60% decrease in office discipline referrals. Other data that building level teams consider when determining impact of Renew include student attendance, course completion and course recovery, and employment. Recall that setting up a multi-tiered system of support framework requires that leaders focus on data, systems, and practices. Before interventions are even decided upon or put in place, MTSS teams are established and directed to focus on what we call necessary conversations. From the universal team to secondary systems team and to tertiary systems team, these teams focus on both process and outcome data. In other words, advanced tiered teams meet every other week to review how many students are referred, how many students are receiving intervention, and how many students are responding to the individual interventions. They also review data to ensure the interventions are being implemented with fidelity and that data is collected with integrity. You can see here that Renew is a Tier 3 intervention, and like other Tier 3 interventions, it is an intensive one-on-one intervention. In a fully installed MTSS 3-tiered system, Renew is an intervention for 3 to 5% of students who have been exposed to Tier 1, Tier 2, and are still in need of an added Tier 3 intervention. Relative to Renew, the Tier 3 systems team supports the installation and implementation of this intensive one-on-one intervention. When MTS is universal, or Tier 1, is implemented with fidelity, then at least 80% of students should be responding. For the remainder 20%, we use data to guide these students towards appropriate advanced tiered interventions. At least 70% of students receiving a Tier 2 intervention that are evidence-based and implemented with fidelity should respond. Finally, for those who need more, we add a scoop of Tier 3 in addition to their Tier 1 and Tier 2 supports. While we have some evidence of Renew embedded into middle schools, Renew was designed for high school students to support a pathway to graduation and beyond. For youth who are disengaged from school, that is, they are chronically absent, have a course deficit, perhaps receiving mental health services, child welfare support, and/or juvenile justice supports, exposure to Renew builds their self-determination, engagement, and self-efficacy, and connects them to natural supports within their school and community. Ultimately, Renew supports emotional and behavioral functioning, educational outcomes such as behavior, course completion, and attendance, as well as employment. You can see here the goals and core values that encapsulate the strategic design of Renew. We know that all youth can succeed with proper supports, treatments, positive relationships, and services. Students who build protective factors engage in fewer problematic behaviors. Renew provides a structure to encourage the building of those protective factors in youth. In encouraging self-determination, Renew helps youth engage in decision-making, problem-solving, self-management, self-awareness, and self-advocacy. In bridging to community supports, Renew guides youth through action planning towards identifying and utilizing natural supports and community resources. Finally, one of the core values of Renew is unconditional care. No specific behavior criteria is required for youth to qualify for and receive Renew. In training, Renew facilitators learn how to be an unconditional coach for the youth who's building trust and positive relationships. Put simply, and for the sake of this behavior bite, there are 4 phases of the Renew process. In phase 1, a trained Renew facilitator invites and then engages the youth in what is called futures planning. Futures planning entails 9 maps in which the Renew facilitator guides the youth through asking key questions and mapping on chart paper the youth's response and ideas. In phase 2 of Renew, the youth uses the maps to create an action plan and invites team members to meet and support towards established goals. In phase 3, the youth, with support from the Renew facilitator, puts the plan into action and begins to follow the very action plan that he or she created in phase 2. Finally, phase 4 is when the student demonstrates recoupment, independent use of new skills, or achievement of their own goals, and is ready to exit Renew or graduate from high school. Here is a brief video sharing voices of a school team that installed and implemented Renew in a Pennsylvania high school.
I loved our training for Renew. First of all, it wasn't your basic training where you sit down and you just have to get information over and over again and just listen and write. Like, it was hands-on. We got to get up, and do a lot of, interactive things. And I really thought that was beneficial for us to learn the program.
Our high school behavior specialist went to the core team training. We had several regular ed teachers that went, our transition coordinator, and a special ed teacher. We wanted to have a wide range represented, and we wanted to get them to see the process, to understand the process, to begin to see how it would fit with what we had in place and expand what we had in place. We wanted to get people first who could commit the time to go through the process, but then quickly, within the first year, we saw that that wasn't enough, that we really truly had to get teachers involved, more people engaged, and really roll it out widespread at the high school.
I was interested in becoming a facilitator because I needed and wanted more tools in my toolbox to work with students, and I particularly liked the idea that it was a student-driven process.
And it's just taking that time and mapping it out was just exactly, what the thing that I needed, that extra piece that I needed in my job.
I knew that it would give me a chance to get to know them better and also to let the students get to know me a little bit better.
The training was incredible. The day went so quickly because I was so interested and involved in the training.
We went step by step through the entire process, and identified all of the different mapping techniques. And by the end, I felt very confident and very excited to have a student-driven process that was led by the student in order for them to be more successful.
We also got to practice and role play and ask a lot of good questions, and I felt really armed well after I left. We were going to be able to really get in depth with the kids and learn about them from their point of view and as much as they wanted to share with us.
If we can do this and bring some students back into the fold, I'm all for it.
And, instead of just looking at students why they don't go to class, why they they're not doing good, why? Like, what can we find out about them personally, and to learn from there.
If you are interested in Renew, here's a quick peek at the training requirements. If your building already has an established Tier 3 systems team, then the Renew Readiness and Implementation Team training would not be a full-day training, but rather a consult with your local Renew trainer. However, if your building does not have an established Tier 3 team, then a full day of training is required for the team to work through decisions and required documents that support sustaining Renew. Once the team is ready to go, then designated Renew facilitators experience a 2.5-day training. Renew facilitators can be special educators, school counselors, and general educators, librarians, music teachers, art teachers, really any certified personnel in your educational setting. The Renew facilitator training walks participants through the 4 phases of Renew and helps them practice their skills using simulations, videos, and the Renew Facilitator Guide. Are you interested in knowing more about Renew, including Renew as a virtual Tier 3 intervention? Please scan into the Patent website and visit additional Renew videos and resources. If you would like to schedule an overview of Renew, please contact your local intermediate unit and ask for their Renew trainer. To access many more Behavior Bytes like this one that have been recorded and stored for you, please visit this website to explore and learn more. My name is Dr. Silke Caparelli, and on behalf of the Patent Behavior Initiative, we want to thank you for watching this little bite of behavior. Any questions about this content can be emailed to behavior@patent.net.